family and the poor farmhouse we had.
In 1999, as Bola Ahmed Tinubu emerged after all the politicking in Afenifere, as he emerged to become the candidate to run as governor of Lagos State, one significant son of Yoruba land, highly respected across Nigeria and across Yoruba land, was lamenting about the forgeries and dubious behavior in the antecedents of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the genesis of the title of this episode, The Reincarnation of Gani Fawehinmi. And the person who Gani is being reincarnated as is none other than the man that Nigeria is prosecuting today, Dele Fawehinmi. But I believe that Gani's return in Dele Fawehinmi will be one that the crooks in Nigeria did not bargain for.
Tonight I think of my home, the home where I was born.
The same man that Gani Fawehinmi was trying to stop in 1999 and 2003 from becoming governor of Lagos State is now the man at the helm of authority in Nigeria. And not a single thing Gani Fawehinmi was saying in 1999 and 2003 about Bola Ahmed Tinubu has changed, because the same crook that he tried to stop in 1999 from using crooked papers to become governor of Lagos State is now the man at the helm of authority in the entire Nigeria. But here is the caveat. The hunger that Gani was talking about in 2003 has become child's play compared to the hunger that Nigerians are going through in 2024, 21 years later.
Oil, 1 liter, which used to sell for 30 naira, has risen to 150 naira. I've given you the basic food that the ordinary man takes, the fried plantain, that has risen from 10 naira to 50 naira. Again, take the maize, which is used particularly in this part of the country, it has risen 165%. The basic food like beans had risen 133%, and yam had risen from 60 naira and 50 naira in 1999 to 180 naira per kilo in 2003. And they are crying every part of Nigeria. They are crying every part of Nigeria that is there any government in this country? The answer to most people in this country today is there is no governance of our country to give us food.
Hello, everybody. Once again, this is Fred Wanko coming to you from our studios in Chicago with another edition of Bold Talk on LMTV. And as usual, I like to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, depending on where you are around the world. Is there any government in Nigeria to give our people food? food? That question remains relevant 23 years later. Has anything changed regarding the questions that Gani was asking in 1999 and in 2003? Those are rhetorical questions. Those are questions that need to stay on your conscience. As we move on to this episode that's appropriately titled The Reincarnation of Gani Fawehinmi. How are we doing so far? If you see value in what we do and the programming we bring you, please subscribe. It doesn't cost you money. Please like and please share.
Tonight I think of my home, the home where I was born.
Dele Fawehinmi. Today is the reincarnation of Gani Fawehinmi. Dele's trials today are the continued trials of Gani's lament in 1999 and 2003. And Nigerians must not point fingers any place else but to ourselves, because every rot that Nigeria has become is because of nothing but our tribalism. And I'll start that tribalism in Yoruba land, because in this case we're talking about two illustrious Yoruba sons in a place where people take pride in saying Yoruba Ronu, and people take pride in saying Tiwa ni Tiwa. Tiwa ni Tiwa, for those who don't understand it, means ours is ours. But I'll go one step further in saying that when they talk about ours is ours, they are talking about the pride of Yoruba land. And there's a lot of pride in Yoruba land. Yoruba land is the place that gave Nigeria Chief Obafemi Awolowo. Yoruba land is the place that gave Nigeria Chief Rotimi Williams San. Yoruba land is the place that gave Nigeria Gani Fawehinmi. Yoruba land is the place that gave Nigeria Bola Ige. Yoruba land is the place that gave Nigeria Funshaw Williams. I could go on and on and on. But now look at the shame of tribalism amongst Yorubas against their own Yoruba people. When it came a choice between Bola Ahmed Tinubu and indirectly Funshaw Williams, Yorubas picked Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And these are people who take pride in saying Tiwa ni Tiwa. Tiwa Aranu niya now. When a people make a choice between Funshaw Williams and Bola Ahmed Tinubu, indirectly because it was actually between Funshaw Williams and Fashola before Fashola became elected. But Fashola was the face of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Yorubas chose Bola Ahmed Tinubu over Funshaw Williams. It is the same Yoruba people that fight to protect Bola Ahmed Tinubu, but have not asked questions to conclusively find out what happened to Bola Ige, an illustrious Yoruba son. Every name we've heard that injustice was done to under the things that Afe Babalola did, most of those names and most of those injustices were done to Yorubas. But in the meantime, Yorubas are singing the praises of Afe Babalola. The new Yoruba people, until things change, I'll keep saying it, have become bandwagon people. If there is money and they can be bought, they are going to sell an illustrious Yoruba son or daughter to go with the man who pays the piper. It is the same Yoruba people who talk about Tiwani Tiwa, Yoruba Ronu, that have not conclusively investigated to find out who killed Funshaw Williams. It is the same Yoruba people who rejected Gani Fawehinmi's pleas to stop a drug dealer and a certificate forger to become governor of Lagos State. It is those same Yoruba people that have now started to tout Afe Babalola as the king of humanity, king of humanitarian giving, king of philanthropy, and they're closing their eyes to the atrocities that Afe Babalola is being accused of. He's not guilty yet, we understand that. He's being accused of some humongous atrocities that he participated within the justice system of Nigeria to destroy our justice system. And the person they are trying to cover up for Afe Babalola against is their own illustrious son, who today, bar none, can be said is Nigeria's foremost human rights activist that acts in fairness to all parts of Nigeria, not just tribalistically for his Yoruba people. Which begs the question, is what Yoruba people are looking for in Nigeria a Yoruba person that protects the interest of Yorubas against the rest of Nigeria? Or are they looking for a Yoruba person that can bring all Nigerians together and also make peace with Yorubas and the rest of Nigerians so that everybody can live in equity and harmony? I know that this video is not going to be popular with a lot of Yorubas because Nigerians don't like the truth. When I say similar things about Igbos and their cabal-pocketed crooks, Igbos also don't like the things I say, but I could care less. Dele Farotimi, my #1 hero in Nigeria today, says that he stands with the truth. I stand with the truth. It's time for Yoruba to truly Ronu. It's time for the entire Nigeria to truly join Yorubas and Ronu. Dele Farotimi does not need a bail to be out of jail. Dele Farotimi has no business in jail. Dele Farotimi needs his unequivocal freedom to say whatever he wants to say, and whoever doesn't like it should meet him in court on fair terms. Those fair terms are not going to come unless Nigerians stand up uniformly across the country and fight for the freedom of Dele Fawehinmi, because the freedom of Dele Fawehinmi means the freedom of every one of us. And the gagging of Dele Fawehinmi and lack of freedom for him to speak what's on his mind, especially when it's true, is also the gagging of every one of us and our inability to speak what's on our minds, especially when we're speaking the truth. It's time for us all to really reevaluate who our heroes are. Is Afe Babalola the hero that Yoruba should be touting? Or is Gani Fawehinmi and Dele Fawehinmi, are they the ones who really should be in the forefront of discussions of luminaries among Yoruba lawyers? And the same thing applies to every other segment of Nigeria where we've come to worship money, regardless of where that money is coming from. Bola Ahmed Tinubu sits back in Asha Rock, pushes all the bad buttons, and the only reason Afe Babalola and the courts he has influenced across Yoruba land and Abuja and Port Harcourt, the only reason they are able to do what they are doing today is because Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his law enforcement people pretend they don't know the ills and the wickedness of what Afe Babalola is doing. And for all those who come out on national TV and social media and sing the praises of Afe Babalola and all the humanitarian things he does across Nigeria, I got news for you. The Igbo guy in Lagos, I forgot his name, who was the first major significant kidnapper that was arrested and embarrassed and held, probably still held up till today, was a humanitarian. He was helping a lot of people and giving to a lot of people while he was kidnapping people and killing some of his kidnapped victims. It's time for Nigerians to really start taking a second look about our humanitarians, how they got the money they are using to be humanitarians. And it's time for Nigerians maybe to deal with a little more hunger than eat stolen, tainted gifts that are given to them by crooks. It's time for Nigerians to stop standing on the mandate of crooks. Dele Fawehinmi, in the end, may become the most celebrated Yoruba person that ever lived in Nigeria. And it will not be because of what he did as a Yoruba person. It will be because of what he did as a true human being that cares for fairness and equity for all, not just for his own. The title of this episode is The Reincarnation of Gani Fawehinmi. Dele Fawehinmi has reincarnated the concerns of Gani Fawehinmi and the prosecution he received and the beating and abuse he received that may have contributed to him going to his grave a little earlier than he should have. But I sit here today to tell you that Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in jail and stayed with the truth. Dele just spent 3 weeks in lockup because he's fighting for the truth. And looking at the fire in his eyes for the truth, I'm not sure Dele is now willing to spend 27 years in a lockup to fight for truth and justice in Nigeria. May Nigerians find it in their hearts, Igbos and Yorubas and Fulanis and Hausas and Edos and Efiks and Ijos and Urobos and Nigerians across the land. May we find it in our hearts to fight for the man who has become the reincarnation of Gani Fawehinmi. May we find it in our hearts to fight for Dele Fawehinmi. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, this is Fred Nwanko coming to you from our studios in Chicago with another painful edition of Bold Talk on Island TV. And until next time, good night and God bless.
Tonight I think of my home, the home where I was born. I think of my family and the poor farmhouse we had. There in my home, we had no sophistication. We had no timepiece, the cockcrow and the sun, all we had. Rise early at sunup, we'd go to the farms, drive the monkeys away from the maize farms and the birds away from the rice farms. Come back home at sundown.